Now, even though today was a really cold day, it didn't stop us from having a great ride on the RD400. We also had a couple other little interesting things. We went down to a local store that makes homemade kibasi and pierogies and basically spent a paycheck on Polish food of all things. But anyway, that all part of the time machine day that we had. Once we get back from there and got out on the open road, it was just heavenly. And as cold as it was this time of year, there's still some nice trees and some nice scenery. Today promises to be a really busy day. One of the fun things we're going to do today in a local town, one or two towns over Wallington, there's the greatest Polish store that makes the best Polish dedicated stuff. It's world renowned, and we're going down to get some kibasi this morning. Whether we like it or not, we're not taking a motorcycle because we may want to get extra stuff. Now, this is a really cool place, and I really look forward to going down there every year. But before I can leave, I have to take care of some of the leaves in the yard. The leaves are in the pond, they're everywhere. It just turns into a mess this time of year. And luckily, I have one of those gas-powered backpack leaf blowers that has no muffler. The muffler, anything that was in that muffler is gone 20 years ago. But the thing still works. It's amazing. I've had it, I probably have it 20 years, and it never doesn't start on a first pull or anything. So, but as soon as it goes, we're going electric. We're going to keep the planet blue. And anybody who has a pond, I know Midgley knows, I know Chuck Holsapple knows, this time of year when those leaves start falling in, and you can't really just leave them in there, it just becomes a mess, and I don't know how to explain it. Like when you have a dog, you got to buy those bags. That's part of the price of an animal. So as always, before we can do anything, we got to play parking lot attendant here. So what, I talked to Karen. She checked the weather. It's going to be into the 40s very soon. We're going to go to the Polish store in Wallington, and I'm going to pre-flight the bike before we go, so when I get back I'll be able to just have a cup of coffee and get out on the open road. And it looks like a beautiful fall, very chilly day. And we're hoping we're going to have even more Indian summer. We have really lucked out. We are on an extended Indian summer so far. And we still have beautiful foliage around. Our garden is done for the year, but we have had a wonderful summer and a wonderful fall so far. And I just wonder how much better life can be anywhere on the planet when it's this time of year. If you don't mind being a little cold in the morning. Wow. And these bikes love the cold weather. They're jetted rich and they love the cold weather. And I use that yard blower every couple of days, but it's just impossible to keep up with it. It's an ongoing thing, and the objective is not to let too much get in the pond. Having a bike totally pre-flighted, cleaned, and put back in the garage is going to be such a nice advantage, because as soon as I get back from the kibasi store, I can jump on the bike like Roy Rogers jumping on a horse, and out the driveway, right out the driveway. So we're all pre-flighted, ready to go, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day, but we need to go get our kibasi. Kibasi rules the roost here. And we get back, it'll probably be even a couple degrees warmer, so. Okay, and we are ready. One more cup of coffee, one more. There's never enough coffee, especially when you're my age. And of course, extra coffee in the cold weather. Those two go hand in hand. And of course, this time of year, Rutherford is officially known as the borough of trees. It's the borough of leaves right now. There's just no end to the leaves. And every variety of tree, the oaks, the different maples and everything, all seem to change at a different time. Makes for a really scenic time of year. And this is the place, the famous Adams Food Market. This is an unbelievable, unbelievable place. Let's go, baby. There's all different pierogies.
Sounds good.
Good, they want
Some stuff you really never see in ShopRite. Very cool place. Now the only thing missing here is they need a TV playing windy videos. Anyway, very cool place. Oh, we got 25 pounds of kibasi. How many pounds did you get here?
They asked for 3 rings, 1 smoked and 2 regular.
Wow. Time to ride. Do you birds eat kibasi? I don't know. Just give us the seeds and declare us off your income tax. And there is the mother lode made with genuine 2-stroke oil. That is the real deal. Okay, the bike is pre-flighted, the pierogies. Everything's in the freezer. We're ready to go out on the open road on a beautiful fall day. And we are officially in the 40s, the low 40s, going maybe even to the high 40s or the low 50s, but I never believed the weathermen ever. It'll be a nice ride. So the kids got Karen a gift, and this is a very unusual gift, and we've had it for a while now. What do they do? Once a month they deliver flowers?
Once a month for 3 months. This is the 2nd month.
This is the 2nd month. Now here's the funny thing about this. When we open the package with the flowers in, they come from Colombia. Now that's kind of a nice gift because all flowers in the garden are done for the year. What a nice gift. And this is true now, not making this up. Karen and I have both gone to flower decorating classes, of all things. Can you imagine? Hey, flower schmower, it's time to go for a ride. Now, because the weather's been getting colder and colder progressively, and in fact, it doesn't look like we're going to be using our summer riding gear anymore. Anyway, one of the goals today was I wanted to make sure, of course, that the carbs are in tune for the cold weather and play with the pilot air screws a little bit to get that throttle response crisp, just so it pulls the front wheel every time you open the gas. Now, of course, one of the restrictions I have with this bike, and that's with the GS2, I don't have a realistic way right now to mount the radar detector, the Jivy bag. Jivy does not make an adapter for an RD or for a GS, so we're pretty much limited in a lot of ways to where we can do our little go through the gears thing. But we'll get some done today, even without the radar. Now, that's always been my test with this bike, and even though this bike has a 19-tooth counter sprocket, which I've put on a previous video, it it's still, when you whack the throttle at anything above 4,500, just pulls the front wheel right off the ground. Then you know you're pretty close on the carburation. You're really close, in fact. And of course, it makes the ride just that much more exciting. Now, I always have the bike, and I mean, I learned my lesson burning a hole in a piston once already. No, never get the bike on where it's too lean. I'd rather have it too rich and maybe make 1 or 2 horsepower less, but not burn it up. Anyway, today, with the cold weather and the jetting that was in the bike, I'm still going to fine tune it. As always, trying to keep it on the razor edge. That's the trick. Now, I remember when I had the tuned exhausts on this bike, and I'd be riding through some of the populated areas that I ride through, and boy, dogs would be barking and squirrels would be jumping out of trees, and old ladies would be pushing their baby carriages, off the sidewalk. I really have enjoyed putting it all back to being a quiet, relatively friendly sounding bike. And the whole idea of my bike collection right from day one was to have one bike from every 10-year period that I've been involved in motorcycling, starting with the RDs. And maybe I should even get one before that. I was pretty involved by the time 1977 came around. I was already a semi-professional racer, so maybe I need to get a 60s bike. Anybody out there got a 60s bike for sale? Cheap. And of course, the beauty for me is every bike is totally different. Every bike has its little quirks and its little annoying things that it does, and the different vibration levels and different seating positions. Just every one is a unique little animal with its own personality. Now, I'm lucky. Anytime I want to do any two-stroke tuning, I have a little backwood road here, I guess is the right. It's pretty bumpy and rough, but you basically can go through the gears back and forth, especially if you're doing any two-stroke tuning or you want to check anything where you want to make a small adjustment. It's nice to have a road where a lot of cars aren't in your way. And of course, the real fun is when Luciano or Mark Morgan or anybody who has a two-stroke, Carl has two strokes too, and you get a bunch of two strokes together and you go flying through the gears and see whose time machine is the slowest. Well, we have had some great two-stroke days. Now, sometimes I'll ride the RD on a day right after I've ridden one of the modern bikes like the MT with all the features and ABS and traction control and everything. And I get a real feel for how the bikes have progressed from 1977 to now. And that's over 40 years. And they have really made bikes a whole lot better, believe me. But the beauty of motorcycles, it's like anything in life. It's subjective. It's what you enjoy and how you plan to enjoy it. And what purpose does it serve in your life? For me, the biggest purpose of motorcycling is to make sure I get enough exercise. And Karen and I both belonged to a gym years ago. We used it locally, and we'd go down there several times a week and come back all sweaty. And I said, this is just not as much fun as riding and working on motorcycles. And at the end of the day, I got nothing to show for my effort. That was not a good deal. And I'm convinced when I go for a 3 or 4 hour motorcycle ride and get on and off the bike 100 times to take pictures and sometimes, have to do some work on it or lay on a cold ground, that exercise that I get is so much more productive than going to a gym. Not even close. Just to use an example of something, all the effort that I put into restoring this bike, probably 500-600 hours over the course of the first year I owned it, and getting all the spare parts together for it, if that at the end of the whole deal and at the end of being tired for all those hours and whatever, at least at the end of it, I got to keep the motorcycle, and I still got it. Now, I raced these bikes for just about 7 years with Ray and other people. I know that Luciano raced and Charlie and everything, but in AMR. But at the end of it, I never knew at that time how much I'd still want to own one of these RDs at this point in my life when I have more modern bikes also. Carl and I were talking about two strokes one day. He has RDs, of course, and about the love-hate relationship we all have with our two strokes. And most of the time there's more hate than love. Well, but in the time that there's love, and in the days when they behave and they go through the gears and they pull wheelies every time you whack the throttle open, hard to explain it to people. And it is really a time machine. When I'm riding this bike, I go back and I look around me and I keep thinking I'm back in the 70s or back in the 80s or something, and the whole world is different, and gas is 29 cents a gallon, and it is such a wonderful thing to be out on this bike for a few hours. I know you don't see it on the video, but this day never really warmed up, and I was really starting to get cold at the end of the ride, and I was just thinking, oh, is it going to be nice to pull into the driveway, and Karen will come to the door and say, honey, the coffee's on, and I don't even get my leathers off, and that coffee is sitting right on the kitchen table. It's such a good feeling at the end of every ride to know the coffee is already brewing. Time for a big cup of coffee, baby. It's cold, no kidding. Only macho men ride in this weather. That's why I'm not riding. So that's it. I had my little trip on a time machine. Did a little more tuning on the carbs. That's a constant, endless thing. But as long as it pops a nice wheelie in first gear, you know you got it. It's close enough. Close enough for me. Anyway, and I'll let Michelle have the wheelie contest trophy anyway, and Paul. Anyway, this baby, he is always like fun to ride, even on a freezing cold day like today. It just never gets old. Going through those gears never gets old. No quick shifter, no ABS, no traction, no valves, no valve shims, nothing but fun. And we must have the tuning pretty close on this, because that front wheel is off the ground every time you whack the throttle open wide. And that is such a good test that you're close. And you know, of course, if your father or somebody, your friends own a dyno, even better. But that's my little dyno. And that's part of the nostalgia of riding an RD, that I don't know that it's the same with modern bikes, but with the RD, it's kind of goes with the territory. And it's like filling up the two-stroke oil before you go out on a long ride. Anyway, it was a really cold day. People new to the channel, I try to post something pretty much every day. And I like to ride all my bikes. They're all different. They're all unique in their own ways. They're all little children. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and some of them are both. So if you enjoyed the video, I hope you share it with your friends. And of course, I hope, most of all, that we'll see you tomorrow. And thanks again for watching.